Are you better at writing what you know, or is the job of a writer to be able to write about all different types of people and characters?
I had a friend who once said to me, you should run toward the things that scare you. And
so what were they? I mean, in the case of your series?
Well, I would say there's been a sort of a sea change in my work in general, in that the more personal, the more universal it's become. So unless I feel a certain level of anxiety about, like, this is a little close to the bone, I kind of feel like I'm not doing it right anymore. Like, and my work narrows in that way, no matter whether it's genre or, you know, in UnREAL, for me, just being so openly feminist, just being so overtly, like, this show is about women who are not necessarily likable, doing a job that is despicable, and we are not going to be afraid of that. Like, we were terrified, but we're not going to pull our punches, and we're not going to treat these characters any differently than we would their male counterparts, just as a rule throughout, from beginning to end. And then the relationship is complex in the way that women working together can be.
We have to take responsibility.
No, we don't have
yes,
to
we do have
anything.
Out her meds.
Mary killed herself.
It is our responsibility.
Okay, you want to turn this into a homicide? This show has zero chance of coming back. It dies.
Who gives a shit about a TV show? We're talking about somebody's life
Well,
here.
I am talking about more than one life. 170 people will lose their jobs if this show goes down. Eddie and Frank will have to pull their kids out of college. And why? Because we made Mary jump? No.
Sarah wrote this incredible line. When I read it, I thought, I never would have thought of that. It's when Shiri's character says to Constance, you know, I love you, in the finale. And boy, I was like, that's genius, because it is all kinds of love. It's every kind of love. It's the love that wants to kill you. You know? And I think that if you're not saying something, I've really grown tired of something that is clever and signifies nothing. You also can't write worrying what the internet's going to think. I had this sort of like moment, I don't know how long ago, when I realized that none of the showrunners that I respect the most are well liked by everybody. They're just not well liked by everybody. Everybody will say talk trash about every showrunner and every filmmaker that I have the most respect for, because they're not afraid to put stuff out there and make people angry. And when I was finally at the place where I was like, maybe I can pretend I don't care, you know, things, you know, I found my output change dramatically. You cannot live hoping that you're not going to offend people. You should live hoping you are going to offend people, because then you're doing something.
And causing conversation and debate and inspiring all of that.
There was a story that was told that Stephen Bochco had a death scene for each of his characters on all of his shows, and if one of the actors started to really become problematic, he just called them up and like pull it out of his side and hand it to them and say, read that.
Brilliant.
And if they, you know, accepted it, then they. And I've always thought about that, which is, you know, life is too short. Life is too short to live in that world.
It's you know, the schedule, the amount of work. It's a hard job. I mean, I know, you know, we're lucky to be doing it and all that.
It's a hard job that you should wear lightly. We are all sometimes prone to take way too seriously and think that we are way more important than we really are. And I feel like it's that balance of, we're all in the service of the show or the message, but ultimately, it's fake surgery. It's not real brain surgery. Like, no one is gonna, you know, people will care if there's no show next week, but you have to have a sense of humor about it and yourself. Or
all right, speaking of sense of humor about things, I mean, with UnREAL, you've tackled this sort of unscripted industry, and I imagine you have heard from many people within that industry, some who think it is wonderful and hilarious, and some who are not so pleased with the depiction.
The thing that I hear the most is from people who work in reality who say it's dead on. That the behind the scenes just feels real to them, and that they are kind of, it's sort of about time that people who watch unscripted realize that it's not unscripted.
Yeah.
And that we're taking people who are not performers and subjecting them to a process whereby they fall into storylines and then we abandon them. I mean, the ultimate was getting a Twitter about us from the host of The Bachelor. That was like, I hear this show is trash, and you know, he just basically just said something negative, and I was just like, he noticed us. Like, I was thrilled. This is Marti Noxon from UnREAL and Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more videos from Hollywood Reporter. Well, you guys dropped the biggest, one of my favorite F-bombs of all time.
Yeah, we got the MF bomb.
Yeah, the MF bomb.
Yeah, no, we would get our letters.